What is? A logical exploration of fundamental reality. Let us begin with an unassailable truth. Nothing can come from nothing. This is not merely a philosophical statement, but a logical necessity. From this simple premise, we can follow a chain of reasoning that leads us to profound conclusions about the nature of reality itself. The foundation. If nothing can come from nothing, then something must come from something. This leads us to ask, where does this something come from? Several possibilities might seem to present themselves. We might first consider an infinite regress, each something coming from a prior something in an endless chain. However, this entire chain, whether infinite or not, would itself be part of what is. The chain in its entirety must still come from somewhere. Infinite regress doesn't resolve our question. It merely describes a pattern within what already is. We might then consider multiple independent sources, but if we have two or more sources, these must themselves be part of a larger whole that contains or encompasses them. Any multiplicity we observe must be contained within a unity, because truly independent things would still need to be related or connected in some way. This relation or connection makes them part of a larger whole, what we call what is. The logical necessity. This reasoning leads us to recognize that the only possible source is what is itself, because by definition, there cannot be anywhere that isn't what is. If there were something outside of or separate from what is, that something would either be part of what is, in which case it's not actually outside, or be what is not, a logical impossibility when discussing existence. This establishes several necessary truths. Everything that exists must be part of what is. What is must be singular, as any multiplicity implies a containing whole. What is cannot have an outside, as that outside would either be part of what is or be what is not. What is must be self-sufficient, as there is nowhere else for it to come from. The implications. From this, we can deduce that what is must be boundless, infinite. Any boundary would imply something beyond it, which we've established cannot be. Similarly, it must be eternal, as any beginning or end would imply something before or after it. This leads us to a fascinating paradox. Everything that appears must be present within what is, as there is nowhere else for anything to come from. Yet not everything appears manifested at all times. This suggests that everything must be both present and not present simultaneously, present in its potential form within the infinite and eternal, and not present in its particular manifested form at any given moment. The challenge of description. Here we encounter a profound difficulty. How do we speak about that which cannot be a thing? To be a thing implies boundaries, limits, and differentiation. Qualities we've established cannot apply to what is. Our very language, built around describing bounded things through comparison and contrast, fails us when we attempt to describe the boundless. This may explain why throughout history cultures have employed terms like God, Brahman, or the Tao, not as descriptions, but as pointers towards what fundamentally cannot be described. These terms acknowledge that what we're attempting to indicate transcends our normal conceptual frameworks and language. Conclusion. Through this careful logical reasoning from a simple premise, we arrive at profound insights about the nature of reality. We find ourselves led to recognize an infinite and eternal what is, that cannot be properly called a thing, yet must be the source of all things. We discover that our very language and concepts built around bounded entities struggle to capture what must be boundless. This exploration demonstrates how pure logical reasoning can lead us to the edges of our conceptual frameworks, where we must acknowledge that our usual modes of understanding and description may not be adequate to capture the fundamental nature of reality. Perhaps most remarkably, we find that this purely logical journey leads us to insights that the mystics and spiritual traditions have pointed to for millennia, suggesting a deep convergence between rational inquiry and deep spiritual insight. What we're left with is both a logical understanding of why the ultimate nature of reality must transcend our normal conceptual frameworks, and a profound appreciation for why direct experience, rather than mere conceptual understanding, may be necessary for truly comprehending the nature of what is. In summary, core premise: nothing arises from nothing. Therefore, something must arise from something. This something is what is. Causal analysis. Infinite regress and multiple sources fail because they both require a containing whole for explanation, and this containing whole would be what is. The only viable source is what is itself. Logical implications. Everything that exists is part of what is. What is singular and cannot have an external reference. What is self-sufficient, boundless, and eternal. Paradox and language. While everything exists as potential within what is, not everything simultaneously manifests itself. Language struggles to accurately describe the boundless using finite concepts, leading to an essential reality beyond typical frameworks. Thanks for watching.